I can't entirely explain it in the case of Canada. In fact, I can't really explain it at all. There is no doubt that President Trump and Prime Minister Trudeau had a poor relationship, and there's kind of hostility on that level. But President Trump's comments about Canada go well beyond disagreements with our government. President Trump has repeatedly asserted that Canada, in both economic and security terms, is a massive drain. First of all, on economic terms, that Canada is a massive drain on the American economy. He has asserted that on the security front that we are an enormous burden on American security and present a significant security, large-scale security threat on our border. The difficulty I have with these things, and it's not to suggest that there aren't economic or security irritants we can discuss, and certainly Canada should be spending more on defense, but these are propositions of President Trump are just fundamentally untrue. Canada-U.S. trade is 98% tariff-free and almost entirely beyond that unencumbered by non-tariff barriers. It's the most integrated economic relationship in the world. Canada is the United States, right now we have a small surplus with the United States, but Canada is the United States' largest export market in the world. We are a larger, and many Americans don't understand this, Canada is a larger export market to the United States than all the countries of the European Union combined. It is a massive economic asset for the United States. Obviously, they are an even bigger asset relatively for us, but it's a massive economic asset. In terms of security, are there issues on the border? Yes, but the northern border is not the southern border. They're not hundreds of thousands or millions of people crossing the border. In fact, I think Canadian law enforcement will tell you the flow of guns, gangs, and drugs come just as much north from the United States as they do south to Canada. In fact, I would suspect they come north much more frequently than south. So these positions of the president are just not based on fact. I will also say, Miga, because we don't know where this is headed, that I don't think they represent any significant element of American public opinion. There is no significant American economic lobby pressing for comprehensive tariffs against Canada. In fact, quite the contrary. The vast majority of the economic actors in the United States would oppose tariffs on Canada because it would hurt the American economy. There is no movement for annexation of Canada in the United States. There was over 100 years ago, but there is, I'm not even aware of the existence of an organization in the United States that advocates that. So these seem to be, at the moment, views of President Trump. For what reason, we don't know. They shouldn't be dismissed because he is the president and he has the capacity to create public opinion in his own right. But as I say, it's kind of, I think most Canadians are finding this kind of a parallel universe.
Right, absolutely. So then, why do you think in his second term he has come down so heavily on Canada? Why this dramatic foreign policy shift when you talk about the country?
I do not know. I tell people there are 5 possible layers of explanation. One is that it's shock effect, entertainment, dominating the headlines. Second is that intense dislike of the current government of Canada and its Prime Minister that's personal. The third is that it's laying the groundwork for some kind of, laying the groundwork for leverage for some kind of big ask from Canada on the trade or our security front, but what that is I don't know and nobody does. The fourth explanation is that he is actually an ideological protectionist who believes that economic activity should be moved to the United States, even if it's mutually beneficial to trade. And the fifth explanation, that he is actually an annexationist who would like to create the largest contiguous empire in the history of humanity by getting Canada and Greenland to be part of the United States. I tell people I think it's all of these things. But what we don't know is what is actually important to President Trump and what he will press forward with. I must admit, as I say, I don't, the President of the United States can make his own decisions, but I don't understand, given all the challenges in the world and all the challenges that the United States has at home and abroad, why this kind of almost warlike footing with Canada makes any sense. I just don't understand it.
And what do you think are going to be the, the political implications domestically for Canada, because elections are looming?
Yeah, look, political implications are already enormous. And really ironic, because if Mr. Trump, as we all know, intensely dislikes the current government, he's actually put them back in the game politically. The entire issue set has changed. The entire issue set in Canada up until a few weeks ago was the poor performance of the Canadian economy, frankly, very poor performance of the Canadian economy. We have declining living standards in the average Canadian household, and a lot of hostility to the government about that economic performance and about cost of living factors. Now, I'm not saying those issues have gone away, but they're not much more now in the realm of the greater economic and national threat to the country's future itself. And by definition, when a country is under that kind of a threat, there tends to be some rallying to the incumbent government. It becomes more difficult for opposition parties to attack the current government on day-to-day management. So whereas, to be blunt, 2 months ago, we would have had a almost certainty that the current government would be defeated in the upcoming elections, which we expect very soon. Now, I think we expect it to be a close election. I still think my party, the opposition Conservative Party, will win, but that is not a foregone conclusion the way it was a few weeks ago.
That's interesting. And also, there, like you said, there have already been so many problems. For years together, the Canadian GDP has been tumbling. You're speaking about the standard of living. Grocery rates have been skyrocketing. People are complaining. And this was the case under the Trudeau government. How do you think, as you said, there may be implications with Trump administration coming and attacking Canada, economic policies are then going to be impacted heavily. But how does the average Canadian think and react to all these developments?
I think at first there was some of this, the first kind of tweets the president did on this, calling Justin Trudeau the governor of the 51st state, saying that, our great famous hockey star Wayne Gretzky should become the new governor. I think people thought this was kind of a joke and really directed at Mr. Trudeau. And let's remember, Mr. Trudeau is so unpopular that his own party just basically removed him from office. But the truth is that the president's statements on this have been they're impossible to dismiss as a joke. The president has repeatedly made the case now of why, not just why Canada should be part of the United States and why Canada should not exist. As I say, he has accused Canada of being an economic drain. He has accused Canada of being a security risk to the United States. And he has further even gone so far as to say that the tariffs he threatens to put on Canada, 25% across the board. By the way, important to realize, putting a 25% across the board tariff on Canada would be a complete abrogation of the tariff-free trade agreement President Trump himself signed with Canada. And he has been saying that he will do this, and that part of the reason for doing it is to force Canada economically to join the United States. These are the actual statements he's been making. So I think, Miga, it's gone way beyond something we can just dismiss as a joke. Now, look, I've told Canadians to be calm. The president has threatened many things he hasn't done. He backed off 25% tariffs a month ago. He says he's going to do them this month. I don't know. We obviously have to be prepared. But as they say, let's not panic until we see what actually happens. Let's have plans, but let's not panic. And let's retain a respectful discourse with the United States. The reality is, notwithstanding whatever is driving President Trump, the United States are great friends, partners, and allies. Our peoples are very close. And it is not in our interest to escalate this. It's our interest to, deal with whatever does have to be dealt with. We're very unclear what that is. but find a productive way forward. So, you know, be prepared, but be prepared for the worst, but don't contribute to it.